Hello everyone, and welcome to our panel. Our panel today is Beyond the Banner, the Art of and Impact of Brand Activation. My name is Ivan Yotov and I'm founder of Fragment agency. We are a creative and experiential agency based in Bulgaria, and today I will be the moderator of this panel. As we explore how brands can move beyond logos and banners and truly become experiences, not only festival positioning. And this conversation is not about sponsorship. That is quite important for us. It's about the presence of the brand during the festivals and how to create cultural moments during the festivals and make it like in stories, emotions, content, and something memorable for our audience. Today we are with three people. One of them is sick, the fourth one, Nikki. That's why he's trying to keep us safe, and that's why we are only three of us today. So I want to present as well the other people next to me. That is Yordan. Yordan is one of the doyens of advertising in Bulgaria, and he's he is the most awarded creative director in Bulgaria. He worked for DDB, Sofia, and take care for clients like McDonald's, IKEA, Absolute, Sofia International Film Festival. So it will be quite impressive regarding the experience that he had. As well, Zarya, next to him. Zarya is a multidisciplinary designer that works predominantly in the world of performance art and public events. And she is a part of London-based studio STUFISH and has completed numerous projects of international projects, and as well Anna Velikova from H&M. She is taking care of communication and PR of the group for almost whole Europe. So thank you. East Europe. Okay, so we have no slides today, and we will be just a discussion. I hope it will be much more productive for everyone. And let's dive with the big one. What actually makes a brand's activation great? Probably Dancho will be the person who can start with this, and after that we will continue with everyone.
Hi and hello everyone. I think it's a very short answer. It's the story. And truth be told, we advertising people are idiots. And we really need those who are the sort of the tribune, the festival providers, those who make the festivals, to have a theme. And when they come to us and present and they say, this is what we try to represent, then we somehow use that to translate that into the brand story of whatever brand is going to get involved. So short answer, story, but that story comes first from the festival itself and then gets amplified by the brands that are there.
That's true, but Ani, what do you think from the brand perspective?
Hi, also from my side, I hope you hear me well. I agree with Dancho. Actually, it's all about the storytelling. From a brand's perspective, and I can speak, of course, on behalf of H&M, it's about creating an unforgettable experience, because it's not about just putting your logo on a banner or just doing some sort of a product placement. Nowadays, we're seeking for something which is truly connecting with the customer or the people that are loving and being there for the music experience, of course, but also for the brand. And you said something very correct. It's all about the storytelling, because when you connect with the story and the DNA of the brand, this is when the experience becomes unforgettable. And this is also something that remains afterwards, after also the event has been finished. It creates a memory, it creates something that people talk about, and it could have a longer life than just the event. That's why it's more important than just simply putting your logo or making your logo bigger. And I can just name a few examples. Actually, since last year, maybe some of you have noticed, H&M in a way came back to its roots, I would say, because we've always had a very strong connection with music. simply because fashion and music are the two things that really make us express ourselves, really liberate who we are and give us the opportunity to, just show our style. And these are the two things that are also setting the trends and creating iconic moments. And that's why for H&M it has always been important that fashion and music go hand in hand, exactly in unforgettable experiences. Last year, we did a huge event, something like a festival, I would call it, because this is how you can describe it, in London, where we invited both iconic but also like new emerging talents. We supported them, giving them the stage to show their art and their talent and creativity, because this is also what the brand stands for, being creative and connecting with art. And one last thing that I can say, and then I see Dancha already has a few points. When you connect these two dots, you are also able to create sort of a community around the brand and around the experience that is happening. And I think this is super important, and this is what counts for the brand, because you don't want just consumers. If something is being consumed, that's the experience for sure.
What I wanted to add, and then we'll go on, is on top of the story, and then story is the obvious thing, but apart from that, it's time. And I would split that in two. Giving enough time to those who support the festival or doing a brand activation to come up with a proper thing that is exciting, and B, understanding that no one who's at the festival actually has time to engage. Because you might have the bestest of stories, but if it takes, I don't know, half an hour for someone to get really invested in what is the brand trying to connect to, well, fuck you. So a lot of time to prepare, and understanding that people have no time, so this needs to be translated quick. So, yeah.
You already answered on the next topic, because my next things was just to discuss what are the common mistakes regarding the brand activation on festivals, and
there
maybe
are many. It's not just one.
yeah, for sure, but that is one of the main. So if you want, we can go and to help to our audience what they do not do when they are planning activation on the ground, regarding the setup, regarding the storytelling, and how people will interact with everything that we prepare for them. You can go, if you want, Zarya, with something, because that is as well the physical part of the things.
There's a lot of overlap, although I have a slightly different perspective. There we go. Can you hear me? Yeah, great. I have a slightly different perspective on things, but it's really interesting to see how we all overlap in what we want to achieve with these events and activations. I suppose it is so much about storytelling, the memories we want to create, and where I stand is at any show we're doing, whether that's on stage, a collaboration with an artist, or creating a whole festival from scratch, we're creating new worlds. And in a way, art and design, the purpose and fundamentally, they trigger people to experience the world, to see the world differently. So I think it's really important to know what the festival stands for, to really define the kind of the vision of the festival, and everything that is part of this festival, event, show, any public event needs to somehow correlate to that theme. It's really important and feel like a holistic vision. So all the design, all the activations, branding, just feel like an integral part of all of that. And I think also part of the experience for me, like we as designers, of course, there's the physical part of the creating something that feels inspiring, that really kind of like makes this synesthetic experience for people, both visually and musically. But how do we also create processes, and how do we encourage people to not just be observers, but be part of the processes that happen, and how can they engage more like in an active way? So from passive to active, speaking about the visitors. So there is this exchange of ideas, in a way what we're doing here now, what A2 does have really nicely integrated into their festival. Or is it the quite common concept now of co-creation, where everyone comes together to create something and be part of it at the same time.
I completely agree with what you're saying. Actually, it's really important that you position yourself as a brand in a context that is meaningful for the brand. Because of course, talking about H&M, we wouldn't position ourselves in something that has nothing to do with fashion or with creativity and people who are expressing themselves, let's say, through their art in a different direction than fashion. But talking about the experiences, of course, the storytelling happens not only by words. It happens very much through what you can tell the story by how you organize the space, how you create or navigate the people that are attending certain events through the different spots. I mean, just as a recent example, obviously, the color of H&M is red. And we were organizing a special event related to a store opening in Athens. But we collaborated actually with an architectural studio who helped us to recreate a totally unpopular space into something like a unique red destination spot that became quite a viral thing later on. So it's all about how you engage the people that are attending your event through all the senses. It's not only what you see, but it's what you can touch, you can feel, what you can listen to. It's super important. And the role of a creative agency is that I believe they should, of course, meet somewhere in between the brand, their idea, the direction, because I know some clients could be very demanding and persistent in what they want. But the good advice that makes a brand stand relevantly in the given context and being authentic, this is what really counts, and this is what creates this unforgettable experience. Because if a brand doesn't speak authentically towards their audience or targeted audience, then you cannot connect any sort of experience to the DNA of the brand. It wouldn't speak to the people, and then also the desired outcome or the result you're looking for won't be there, regardless of how much you're investing and what you're doing.
Because you mentioned the DNA of the brand, probably here comes the topic with the guidelines that brands have, and as well how they are, making the, let's say, global strategies to local and how to adapt everything to work well. Because we saw a lot of activation during our festival, A2 Jazz, that were coming, from headquarters in any part of Europe or worldwide, and they're coming with ideas that not working with our audience. How we can make relevant brand activation and to keep, again, aligned with the guidelines. That is quite important from both perspectives. Like creative agencies, like the people who are designing that activation, and as well to keep the brand aligned from the main documents that we need to follow.
Again, I can speak from the brand that I represent and the company I work for. For H&M, it's very important that, as I said, we are authentic. This is how the brand communicates towards everyone. And we are, in everything that we do, we're led by our vision to liberate fashion for the many. You can imagine H&M is a global fashion brand represented in 78 countries around the world. And of course, the brand stands for something very specific, and you're always aiming to represent this specific spirit, I would even say, of the brand in all the audiences, regardless where you're standing, whether you're in Bulgaria, or in Kazakhstan, or in US. But here, I think the successful combination is sticking to the guidelines, because the guidelines are setting this frame where the authenticity and the brand DNA is preserved, and finding the relevant way to reach the consumers or your target audience. And sometimes that's why, let's say, if we're talking about fashion and music, you need to find relevant and very inspiring artist that is locally super popular and represented in the country where you want to do the activation. Maybe you partner with other creatives. They can speak the local language, figuratively speaking, of course, and also, really talking the local language, and this is how you connect with your audience. So the balance is between, guidelines, keeping the authenticity and sticking to the brand DNA, because otherwise the storytelling won't be there, and the balanced approach coming from the creative agency or the creative advisors that you're partnering with, so that you can find the successful formula to present your brand in the best way in the given context of the festival or the event that you're being.
I have to say that I am yet to see a brand guideline or a brand book that says make us dull or make us boring. So I don't think it's anyone's intent to be bold. And if, again, going back to the very beginning, if the festival has a very strong identity, and if that identity is, I don't know, if you sum it up with one word, if it's liberation, and then you go to the sponsor, whoever it might be, H&M or, I don't know, whoever, name a Boeing sounds like a dull client. And if there are people from Boeing here, maybe you should work on your presence. Anyway, no, I guess what I'm trying to say is if you have a very strong subject, if you have a very strong theme, you go to the client and you say, do you feel like you fit in that, your narrative fits that theme? And if they do, they would be inclined to further up their message and to make it as eloquent or as amplified as they possibly can, indeed because it fits the theme. Then again, I've seen many a festival that go and send a generic presentation that says, hey, we need 50,000 leva. And it is really difficult.
Give you 2 banners.
And it is really difficult to connect. I mean, it's the same with people. I mean, if I just come next to you and say, you will hardly engage. So again, a very, very, very strong identity of the festival itself or of the product itself brings you the right kind of attitude and the right kind of attention from the right kind of partners. You as A2Jazz, you don't need every single client in Bulgaria to be a sponsor. You need the 5 that make sense.
That's true, and that's why we have the looks, to picking the brands who we want to attend on our festival, and we are more or less control them, what they are doing to be more relevant and to try and to help to all brands and agencies as well, what will works regarding from our point of view and experience, because we know very well our audience for sure. But anyhow, during the years we saw a lot of activation. Doesn't matter how efforts we put in that activation that didn't work very well, and the brands after that are coming back to us and saying, guys, we invest a lot of money first to attend, second additional investigation in production and stuff like this, and we expect something more. That is the cases that we are trying, to do not happen at all, but we are struggling a lot, and I'm sure that the clients, again, is struggle because they see one quite big festival, they see how the audience is so different. Doesn't matter that they are united by the topic of the festival, but they are acting in different way, and clients struggle. And that was my idea, to try to help to, when you start planning the activation, what will be the right approach. Doesn't matter how strong brand you have or how strong is the brand of the festival that you are planning to attend, because regarding of the design as well, that is a big issue, I guess.
Yeah, again, I'm not going to speak about the branding, more about kind of like the full production. It's interesting what you said before about kind of the full journey. So yeah, the design, the production side of things is not just about, a stage at the end and like, decoration or like the visual part of it. It's the moment people step inside. It's the whole journey, how you guide them through, how you guide their behavior in a way, and how do you trigger them to experience different things. And I think maybe for all of us, what we should really be focusing on is the people. I mean, they of course are the focus, but it all starts from the people, and they are part of the aesthetic of it. They're part of the production, like in many festivals in the world. Even yesterday, I was at the opening night. It was beautiful. People dress up to go to a festival. The moment they start congregating, you already have a set. You already have set design. And I think this is beautiful. And in a lot of other festivals, they would like even go to extremes. And there's this term of radical self-expression. And I think it's super important that events allow for that and open the doors for that. So it all comes back to people coming together, experiencing something together, reflecting on their values, or maybe challenging their values, and just generally having this kind of feeling of empathy, like experiencing these things through each other. So from a stage perspective, from the like a production, I would say, like if we're looking at a whole festival, in our case, very often we design stages that tour around the world. It's about what is a stage, because yeah, sometimes we're quite limited in, you know, the kind of like the parameters of where we're going, but a stage, we recently worked on a festival this summer which put the stage in the middle and invited people to go on it. So this is already a different way of experiencing a festival, experiencing the music, experiencing each other, and kind of elevating your experience. So it was like a 360 experience where people were free to roam around, go on the stage, be very close to the artist, and this already felt like a very different way to be part of this.
I really like what you're saying, because I was also reflecting what both Ivan and Dancho said. I think it's super crucial. I mean, there is nothing wrong in a brand sticking to their identity and like defending it and being persistent in, you know, being present in a very specific way. Also, there is nothing wrong in a festival or initiative knowing and defending their own, because they're also a brand. I mean, you're creating a brand. A to Just is already a brand. But I think here what is really crucial is that both sides need to know very well their audience. And you said it very nicely. At the end of the day, we're doing that for the people, right? Even when the brand is coming to collaborate with a festival or a concert, we're doing it for the people because, again, speaking from my own experience working for H&M, we want to meet our customer where they are, where they have their needs, to meet their needs, even exceed their needs. We want to be there where they're having joy, they're having fun, they're being there to explore their own style and to even maybe push the limits of that. You said it very beautifully. So this is where the good collaboration and the good partnership becomes quite fruitful, and you can even unleash much more than just being present with your brand or positioning your brand. And again, coming back to what I said, that it's supernatural and it's part of the DNA of H&M to be closer to music, is again, because when we're talking about fashion, exactly, music is also setting a lot of the times the trends and how you want to explore fashion and how you want to present yourself and even maybe unleash your self-expression in a wilder or different way than you would expect it. And if you have the right platform or the inspiring context, which could be a festival, then you have it all. And then a brand such as a fashion brand like H&M would be there to provide you not only with the experience, but also with your amazing outfits, with everything that you need to get ready for a festival. But by building not only just a brand positioning, but overall experience, then you will remember that you went with H&M to that festival wearing those clothes and you experienced this and that, or you were dancing on the stage together with the artist, for example.
Furthering up to what you're saying, I think it's really helpful. I don't know how many of you guys are festival organizers or the likes, or event organizers per se, but it helps if you guys sort of know more about the activations rather than just the stages itself. There's a brilliant website called lovetheworkmore.com where it is cram full of all the cases that won Cannes Awards for the last, 40 years. Lovetheworkmore.com. When when you were mentioning something about the 360 stage, and I immediately remembered that. So if you say that the festival's agenda is freedom in this thing and freedom to express yourself, one way to go around is to call H&M and say, "Oh, we're discussing freedom this year." Another one would be to go to lovetheworkmore.com, see a beautiful Nivea case from last year. That what they did was they said, well, way too many toddlers go with their parents at festivals and they get lost. So what they did was they attached a bracelet which is synced to your iPhone, costs €3. And it gives you a notification if your toddler is more than, I don't know, 15 meters away.
Which is priceless.
Indeed.
Sure.
And kudos to MasterCard as well. So, and that means that your message all of a sudden becomes explore your freedom. And ta-da! But if you don't know that case, if you don't look around, there's absolutely no chance in hell that you approach Nivea.
I think the example that you gave us, it's perfect expression what we are looking for. And as well regarding the toddlers, we have exactly the same problem since the first year of the festival, because crying children are coming on stage and we are showing the children and asking their parents to come to the stage. Peter is the person who is taking care for all crying children during the, so this is quite nice campaign for sure. But regarding the brands and the creativity part, what are the things that we are looking to remain after the festival? Like the content or the, the experience that we gave to the people. What are you looking for when you are preparing the brand activations?
Well, of course, as I said, something that will remain for a longer period of time. That's because we're looking for an activation that will create a long-lasting memory. This is also when you know that you've done the right job. Of course, let's say such an activation or such a collaboration has different stages. Of course, you usually put a bit more focus on the stages before you activate your audience at the event. You tease them, you prepare them from what's coming up, you reveal and you announce what's happening, and then you're activating them at the event. And I would say that if you have done your job properly in those preliminary stages and you've done a really spot-on activation where you met the needs of the customer, you really synced with let's say the spirit of the event and or the concept of the organizers, and you've been authentic to your brand, then for sure the people who attended that and went through that particular experience will remember it for a longer period of time, simply because it will be, you will create the bond, you will have created the connection, and this is what we want. We want to connect with the people, otherwise you're just selling a product, and that's not what we want. But of course, nowadays when we're talking about communications, PR, advertising and so on, everyone is looking for sure for a viral effect. And let's say the way to create a viral effect is of course also to choose the right channels, I would say. Here, I'm pretty sure Dancho will have something to elaborate on. But it's also about how you activate different channels, what sort of people you also invite. I mean, we know how important, for example, nowadays influencers are, and working with influencers, because these are the people that could also create additional content around your brand presence that could amplify further even that presence and also the experience, and could inspire people to be part of it. And this is what can linger on, not just for a while, but maybe or hopefully for a longer period of time.
I think Zarya has it the most difficult during a festival, because she and people like you need to translate the festival story there. I don't think a brand should concentrate all its efforts at the spot. There's a lot of time before a festival and a lot of time afterwards. It can even be outside. Speaking, you mentioned the word priceless. I was engaging with some of the MasterCard people the other day. So if you try to think what is a priceless moment that A2 Jazz can bring to people, I struggle to instantly find pricelessness at the festival. But if we bring one of the hottest acts to do, I don't know, a mini show, I don't know where, with an audience of 3, and for my loved one and me, and that would be an experience that I will never forget, and that would be something that I might, I don't know, kill someone to get. It's a priceless moment. Fits them, maybe fits us, maybe if the theme of the festival is freedom, it says we're free from location. It's not just this place. We're exploring everywhere. So a lot of these things that I'm speaking of today, a lot of these are reverse engineering, let's be honest. I mean, once you have something you like, you retrofit it to the theme that you think you had before that, but now it's a bit clearer. I guess what I'm trying to say is, again, going back, you have a very difficult job at the festival. We have a difficult job before and after the festival. During the festival, what you can do is something Instagrammable. That's it. Or bribery. Here's a free beer. I mean, it pretty much ends there.
That's called trial. Speaking from my
It's called
parents'
bribery.
experience for
Yeah.
Heineken, but yeah, okay. We can debate on that later, after the panel.
Over a free beer.
You promised free chocolate, though.
Just to add, yeah, absolutely. It's actually the moment the festival or the event or the concert we do starts, we're free. So the hardest part is before, months before. But actually, in those months before, we think a lot about, of course, what happens during, what happens after is also very important to us. And it touches a little bit upon the idea of circular economy and kind of, sustainability. We always design or try to, when it's possible, of course, implement those principles. And I guess we're all talking about the legacy, so that comes with the physical side of things, as I just mentioned. We've got a lot of shows that are repurposed. We use, I would say, more than half, almost every time, is rental stock. So we think in those terms, and everything else that is custom made, we're thinking, okay, how can we contribute, with whatever's left to a community, to, donate, or to create an installation, an art piece that stays after. So it kind of, the memory is more physical in that sense. And in the other sense that you tackled upon is more about the memory and the kind of we all said a little bit about how do we, in a way, educate people through the play. So it's very important to have, the fun aspect, but also what is the purpose of all this and how do we instigate, this kind of building of communities and interaction of people that come together and can actually create a ripple effect after the festival. So what really stays both for the branding but also for these communities that are created at festivals, and how is that a positive impact on our society as well?
I just wanted to add on, because now you reminded me of something. Of course, apart from the experience and this, because you mentioned this physical memory, I guess for a brand like H&M, it's easy because you would always remember the actual experience, the music you listened to, the people you gathered with, but for sure you would remember also what you have been wearing. And the reason why I'm saying it's easy for a fashion brand like H&M to create those memories for a long-lasting moment is because, for example, I'm pretty sure that, for many years we've been collaborating and partnering with Coachella. We were even designing for several years in a row special collection that was called H&M Loves Coachella. And if you deliberately prepare your outfit and you put so much attention and, passion into it, then whenever you come back to that piece of garment, you would always remember also the experience. So it is a mix between the actual memory and a bit of a physical thing that stays with you. And I really like what you kind of mentioned, that we should also seek for sustainable experience?
It's hard, it's a very delicate topic, but just another example I really loved your example with the bracelets. I think it's so clever the way they did it. And from our perspective, there was, for example, a pavilion that, it was a design that was proposed for the festival Burning Man. The idea was that it was all made out of strings, and once the festival is over, it's a zero waste type of festival. So everything you bring, you have to take back. It has to be repurposed. So with this particular example, the idea was that we cut it and we create bracelets out of this. So everyone who was part of or came to see the installation, participated with it, then brings home like a little piece of jewelry with them, which was essentially how it was built. So many ways to do that,
Quite cool, but before go to sustainability topic, I want to step back and because most of the people in the hall are organizers and people who are making big events or bookers, and they struggle how to show the right, let's say, measurable metrics that brands, the agencies and the festivals are looking to show to, just how they are doing well their job. So what are the things that we need to consider and to try to measure during the festivals from the perspective of the brand, from the perspective of the agency, let's say, when you are preparing the reports, and from the perspective of design regarding is it work or not working, the activation, the experience, or anything that we prepared for the festival?
You're looking at me, I see. Well, there are many indicators that you can set as a kind of a target. Of course, the first indicator would be how many people you will basically reach out to by positioning your brand in this particular festival. Then, depending on the format and the scope of your activity, you would like to know how many people actually interacted with the brand and how favorable this experience was, because it's not just to click the number of how many people were at your H&M pop-up store, but how many people actually enjoyed it and had a super nice time. Then, of course, from a PR and communications, like pure publicity perspective, you're also seeking for qualitative but also quantitative indicators, the number of publicity, the number of reach, talking about, let's say, influencers, the engagement rate, and so on and so on. But you can also connect your activation with also kind of a commercial benefit for your customers. Let's say if your activation provides the people that attended that particular spot during the festival, let's say, some sort of a really nice discount later on shopping at H&M, then of course you would like to see how many of those people that were at the festival then later on went to the store. So this is also some actually very accurate way to measure the success, or at least the results of this sort of activation. So it's all connected to what exactly you're seeking for. If you're just seeking to position your brand in a very favorable context where, like, let's say, fashion topics will be elevated, then you would look into the brand indicators later on. And I'm not a marketeer. Some of my colleagues that are marketers are here and probably will say, that's not exactly like that, so I don't want to enter this field. But yeah, there are different measurements. That's why you need to, again, coming back to what I said earlier, you need to know your audience. Based on that, you need to decide what exactly you would like to achieve with this activation and what is the gained effect you're seeking for. And then the KPIs are just, like, they're there. You know what you need to look for.
I would say that generic data means fuck all. Because, I mean, when you're submitting a presentation to someone, it has to be relevant to them. I mean, if I were trying to pitch Durex after Glastonbury, I would take I would take the, I don't know,
I'm afraid to listen what you're going to say.
The statistics office of, is there a spike in births 9 months after Glastonbury? And if not, I would say congratulations to our marketing team. And if you put a smile in someone's mind, half of your work is there. I mean, if you just have a slide that says X amount of people came, X amount of people enjoyed, whatever enjoyed might mean, the festival, it's hollow. So I would tailor make the offer towards those who will read it and those who will receive it. And going back to a previous brand that I mentioned, Boeing. Boeing will, if Boeing are a sponsor, do they want 700 people to buy a Boeing? No, one is a success for them. So maybe just tailor your pitch.
Fair enough, I guess. Next topic is sustainability, and I here want to give the stage more to Zarya, because design, I think it's the DNA of the sustainability regarding the brand activation, because communication, we know more or less it's sustainable, but when we are speaking of the physical part, there is the hardest thing, how to make something sustainable. And since the first year of the festival, A to Jazz, we are working on this, and that's quite important, and we will be very happy to share with us your thoughts regarding the sustainability and how to make it, how to use it in real life, not only, saying it's sustainable when we are using, just plastic, we are not using plastic cups and that is sustainable. That's not true.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a very difficult, very delicate topic. I think we all need to recognize that, like, commonly we're all failing in it. That doesn't mean we shouldn't be trying and keep on going, and it should be part of our everything we do. Like, no matter what you do in your daily life or your job, it should be part of, our conversations and the way we live, for sure. And we shouldn't be discouraged when things are not going. But from our perspective, it is a big deal, because we're the first people very often that the client would come to, whether that's like a whole production festival or whether it's just an artist. So we have that role, we have that responsibility to start making the right decisions right from the beginning. And what I mentioned previously is that in our company, at least, and my personal projects, we always try to create unique things, but thinking about how do we use what's already there. So in the case of big touring shows that we do a lot, this will be massively rental stock that we work with these big fabricator companies that provide everything from screens, steel, everything necessary to build a stage. But how do we challenge ourselves to create things that feel different, feel unique, feel like, an elevated experience on the dance floor or the stage by using them, and then minimizing everything that's custom and everything that might remain as a waste. And again, from the what I said before, from everything that is custom, we very often think, what can we do with it after? In many cases, we donate that or we repurpose it for an installation, for a stage, or for like sometimes furniture, as mentioned before, like pieces of jewelry that people can take home, etc. It's a very big question, a very important question, and I think it's as much about the physicality of it, again, as it's about educating, people who come to these events and how to trigger them to want to be more part of this movement and to understand the importance of this, because no matter, I think we sometimes can feel like we're not doing much because it's very little, but actually millions of people together have more impact than like one company that sometimes we're like, oh, but this company doesn't do that, so why would I recycle at home? It's the numbers and it's the ripple effect that really, really counts. So we should absolutely, make this part of our work and life.
And it's also a matter of, indeed, going back to the storytelling bit. If you bang the drum on something that is as expected as sustainable solutions, I don't think anyone would hear it. But if you say, of course we're sustainable, but part of our sustainability efforts are, I don't know, coming up with a Bulgarian jazz artist that his legacy is now secure and his or her most amazing pieces are in this notary written, and Bulgarian new artists are using that as part of their improvised sets or whatever. And you say this is a part of our sustainability effort. It basically means that the other is also happening well. I'm reminded of Honda, who did a robot called Asimo. They don't really need a robot. But the point of them doing a robot is to say, maybe if we're able to build this amazing piece of tech, the brakes on your Civic are all right. So if you don't just say, well, sustainability means that we don't use straws, because it's 2025 and we still live in a sort of a liberal place, that's one. But if you say, this is what sustainability means to us, and you extend it to a newsworthy little piece, then you get to believe the other things as well.
I just want to add also one point from my side. I agree with you. It all starts actually with the design. This is also how we're treating sustainability in H&M, because it's first you need to, design it in your mind how you want to produce something that will last longer, but that it could be also repurposed. That's super important. And now, of course, it's needless to say that sustainability is a crucial part for H&M, and it's really part of our DNA. But what I wanted to say is that, especially sitting on the side of a brand and a company, where you can easily be accused of this or that, or people have expectations towards you that you should be a sustainable brand and responsible brand and so on. I believe it's super important then when you have a brand like ours, you take a closer look at the scale and the scope of your impact that you have, and actually use that in order to educate people, to give them ideas how they can be resourceful, how they can treat sustainability. Because it's not about only, as Dancho said, to say that just to claim that you're sustainable, but part of it is actually giving sort of solutions to your audience, giving them, leading by example, basically. And this is something that we do. We try to integrate sustainability in really practical points in each and every part of even the supply chain, and the way we produce our garments, to the very moment until we end up having an activation at a concert or festival and so on. And this could be translated in different things. Actually, it could be part of the activation. You might ask your target audience to come with an old T-shirt that they last wore, I don't know, at the previous A2 Jazz Festival, and that H&M will give them sort of a repair station where you can upgrade or redesign your T-shirt, but you're still going to wear the same T-shirt, and you give them the message that it's important not just to consume, but actually to rewear fashion in a purposeful way. It could be that, I can think of all sorts of activations that we've done, or activities even internally that we've done in the company, creating accessories from some of our vinyls from old billboards, or redesigning old garments, or collecting clothes, and talking about garment collecting and recycling. Or even, I can give you a very stupid example. I probably it's still somewhere in our warehouse, or most probably we've already really reused it, but we used to have this DJ booth that we used in each and every opening. Some people are laughing in the audience, but that's the case. And of course you can always kind of retouch it a little bit, or sort of rebrand it, but it's still the same booth, and you take the maximum out of it, simply because it makes no sense to produce. And these are simple, small examples, but what you said, sometimes we might not believe in the small, simple steps, but it's about this collective power that we all have, because if we are all doing it, then actually it could make a sense, and it could make a meaning, and it could have a result and some sort of an impact. But if everyone gives up and says, well, I'm not going to do it, it doesn't make sense, then we all end up not doing it. So I think the role of the brands is empowering this collective thinking and education, and it all ends up about creating the community, because when you have a strong community, then a community has, community is usually united around values, and if you have that in the values, then there you go, people have also the right mindset. I don't know, I'm a strong believer in sustainability, and like that we need to really take care, and we need to make an effort, and this is what I would like to educate, for example, my son. He's 2.5 and he's already doing a separate waste management.
Good job.
That's great. Yeah, I was just going to add to this because it is absolutely the people that move everything. And us having worked with a lot of big artists, I can see a change from their perspective as well, because actually a lot of the impact on these like shows and festivals comes from people going to the place. It's not so much even about the set and the physicality of it. And just seeing how, because the fandom and the crowd is really, really powerful. So each one of us standing together and demanding these things makes our voice really powerful. And in a way, festivals are a platform that we can express that. But just seeing how big artists are influenced by that, because obviously they do care about what their fans think. And if their fans demand that, the way they tour, the way they do things is greener and greener, or trying to be, again, I'm saying it's very difficult to be there 100%, which should not discourage us. We had like an amazing few examples actually in the UK with festivals that, ended up being almost like zero waste. And like we can see this like all over the world, or some touring shows that encourage people, actually not selling tickets to people coming by car. It's only like trains, and because it's big distances. And I saw also A2Jazz. This was great, like the publicity you sent the other day of like how to arrive to the festival by bike or by foot, which in the center of Sofia, where the festival should stay, is really easy. And this is what makes it actually great and green in a way.
So cool. I think if we need to wrap up, probably the community is the answer of everything, how to be successful regarding the brand activation. If we consider and know very well the community, probably that will be the way and the starting point that we need to look at it, and after that to start planning. Agreed, everyone, or not?
And yourself, not just the community. It's very easy to say, oh, they. Hard looks at ourselves help.
That's true. And as well, because time is running, guys, do you have any kind of questions that you want to ask everyone? Someone from the hall?
Hello, thank you very much for sharing. My name is Eva, I'm from here, and with my team here we organize 3 international events in Sofia, but they are quite smaller compared to this one, like 500, 600 people. So listening to you and trying to bring what we are talking about to my everyday perspective, I just wondered, and you mentioned, Anna, about indicators. I just wonder, I imagine you work on a kind of larger scale with bigger events. So, and I suppose here are some organizers of smaller events, so it would be interesting to know what is the indicator, or whether there is a minimum threshold in terms of size of event, considering the audience reach, when a brand like H&M, this question is rather for you, and this size of brand would consider collaborating with an event. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, it's not about setting a threshold, like, okay, we're going to collaborate with events that are hosting 1,500 people or 5K. It's something about what I said about earlier. It's about the audience and the context, because it all has to be purposeful and meaningful. With the examples that I gave earlier, let's say, of course, festivals that we've collaborated, for sure they're having a larger scale, but there was always a connection with what we exactly do. There was always an actual and real, as I said, authentic connection with fashion. So it's not about the number of people. Of course, you want to engage with as much as possible target audience, but it has to be the right audience. So I cannot give you an example like, okay, it has to be 200 or 2,000. It's more about the context, whether it's true to the brand and what we would like to, let's say, also achieve with that. And yeah, it has to be meaningful. For me, this is the most important thing, and this is one of the criteria that we're looking at when we decide how and what we would like to activate or with whom we would like to collaborate.
Hello, I'm organizer of Viljandi Folk Music Festival in Estonia, and I've done many sponsorships deals, and it takes lots of effort and to create these partnerships that last. And usually it's in the owners levels, not in marketing department levels, because those people change, but owners usually remain in place. But my question is, whose responsibility is the brand activation? Whether it is festival organizer, or is it a marketing team, or is it some marketing company? Like, who will take this responsibility?
The usual process that I know, but I'm only on one side, being part of an advertising agency, would be one of two ways. It's the festival organizer or the event thing met usually over dinner with someone from the client side, and then someone from the client side writes a brief to its ad agency, and they say, ooh, we are going to be participating in that, come up with something. Or, alternatively, the organizer of the festival calls us, the advertising agency, says, we're doing this and that and that, and this is why we are, this theme this year is this. Does that fit any of your clients? So I'm yet to figure out a third way, but for us, that's the journey.
I didn't know the answer, but it's a very good point, because which was something that happened to me this year on a project. The brand activation came in really late in the game. Like, the organizers, the producers knew that they're going to have sponsors, but like a week before the opening, they're like, oh, so where do we put this bottle of someone? You know, I'm not going to mention names. And of course, from my perspective, wanting to have everything feel like part of the same world, feel clean, feel like immersive, I was like panicking, because this should have come a lot earlier into the design process. And I think maybe for you guys, if you're able to kind of involve yourselves earlier in the process of the whole vision, then it just feels more of a, yeah, like a holistic thing that I think will also work well for the brands, that makes them feel more authentic to that context, to that place.
I would say it goes both ways. Sometimes, you know, there is a great initiative and the organizers are reaching out to brands that they would envision to be part of that particular event, because this will also contribute to how they position the festival itself. But usually, speaking from, you know, H&M's perspective, how we usually approach is that we take into consideration what is the brand direction, and again, what are we aiming for, what is the overall strategy, how we'd like to present the brand to your audience. And again, giving an example with latest things that we've done, just end of last year, we had a super surprising concert that was sort of a takeover on Times Square, and we invited Charlie XCX to literally pop out of one of the screens. Well, that's why I'm saying it was part of the brand direction, but it wasn't like, you know, someone who is organizing the advertising on the different screens on Times Square said, you know, we have a spot, so would you like to fill it in with your activity or something? So for me, again, I'm repeating myself, but it has to be meaningful and purposeful. And if you know where your brand is going to and how you would like to, build that communication, build the brand and the awareness around it, and to make it credible, then you don't just wait for the offer and consider, okay, they're asking for 50K and they give us this or that. But you're also the proactive part, and you map the things that are culturally relevant to your brand and kind of connect with the DNA of the brand or the spirit of the brand, and you say, wow, actually, this is the right place for us to be. This is also where our people are. And okay, now let's connect with the best creative agency so that we can come up with the most relevant and super inspiring activation that we can position at that brand. So for me, this is how it should go, and this should be sort of the successful formula for it.
From a festival perspective, it's quite different because we felt like, matchmakers when we are picking. I'm speaking from the name of A2Jazz, because we are picking the brands that we know that they will give added value to our audience and our community. That's why we are trying, because when
I need to challenge you on that. Go on. Go on,
okay, it will be a fight maybe, let's see. But we are trying to pick the brands that are working well, and as well, we have, let's say, in a past situation that we pick brands that we think that they will be suitable for our festival, they will bring the added value that we are looking for, and then we finish in completely opposite way. And right now we are not working with them, let's say. Doesn't matter from our perspective. Once again, it's nice to make sustainable relationships with the brands that you are thinking that are having something in common, like common DNA, to make your festival growing and to be sustainable, like the whole vision of the festival, how it will look for your audience.
I would split the clients into two parts. One are sort of the expected, and the other one is the unexpected. And it is much more interesting to go with the unexpected. But there will always be a gin provider selling gin tonics at A2Jazz. I mean, it's 30 degrees outside. If it isn't Beefeater, it's going to be someone else. And hopefully many years will pass before you move on to something else. But anyway. But I think your question was much more targeted to the unexpected ones. It's how do you get a bank involved, or one of these things that aren't necessarily a natural fit or an organic fit, and we're doing full circle. I think it comes from your own theme. Other brands want to be engaged with strong voices rather than just put placement. So if your festival, event, whatever it is that you're organizing, has a strong voice, that's what they will be buying. It will not be the stall, it will not be the branding of the 7th tier to the left. It will be the engagement together. Rolex sponsor Roland Garros because it's an amazing tournament. I am aware that not every event is humongous and but as long as there is a sort of a singular theme, singular voice, singular attention-grabbing mindset from the organizer, that's what the sponsor is buying. The others are the expected ones. The beers is, the gins is, the whatever's is.
Agreed.
So civilized.
Any other questions?
Very European Union.
No. Okay, so we are finished. Thank you for your time, and you can enjoy the coffee break. We have 20-minute coffee break.
Thank you.